All right, this is Alex. Welcome back to the On the House podcast. I've got special guests with me today, Justin Leatherman and Kevin Park from Leatherman Supply out of Goshen, Indiana. These guys supply us our windows, doors, and I invited them on the show to talk specifically about windows today. Maybe we'll hit a little bit on doors, but the cool thing about them is that they have a choice in who they supply, who they do business with, and they choose to use Andersen windows, Silverline windows, and so we're going to talk today about why they made that choice. So, morning, guys.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
Okay, so Kevin, you want to introduce yourself first?
Sure. So, get the opportunity to rep Andersen and Silverline windows, Therma-Tru doors. So the first question you asked was why Andersen? Right. So,
I'm gonna hold you off on that for 1 second,
sure.
And I want to know a little bit about your backstory because you're like me, like you were on a path and then took a hard right and are now in the building industry.
Sure.
Okay. So where were you before?
Yeah. So I was a teacher for 13 years, coached football, and Justin's been a good buddy of mine. I got tied up in the politics of education.
What? There's politics and education.
and
I'm just like getting into this because my kids are, they're young. I got one in second grade
Sure.
right now, and then one in preschool, and I'm just starting to see it. But
yeah,
I can only imagine.
It's it's one of those things that I just couldn't control my situation.
Yeah.
So Justin and I, like I said, we grew up together, best friends from way back.
Sorry to hear that.
And right. And so Justin said, "Hey, you want to come work for Leatherman Supply?" And I said, "Let me talk about it. Let me think about it." And then, lo and behold, about a year and a half, the conversation went on, and I made the jump.
Okay, so now that you're in,
Sure.
and you've been in for...
Well, I've been in for a year, almost 5 months.
Okay, year and 5 months, and you specifically, I know you guys sell countertops and cabinets too, but you specifically rep windows and doors, right?
I specifically rep.
So is there anything that you found in your first year that hey, I've lived in a house my whole life. I've had windows and doors my whole life, but man, this was a profound thing that I learned in the first year that really kind of knocked your shoes off, or has it been kind of no, it just is what it is?
The biggest thing that I learned was there's so many aspects to a window or a door,
mm-hmm.
right? That from the outsider looking in, like as a teacher, Kevin Park as a teacher, you didn't think about windows. You saw, hey, a window is a window is a window.
Yeah.
Right? So then when you begin to sell windows and you sell doors, you have to learn, hey, there's a lot more than just a window is a window is a window.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes a ton of sense. And the reason I asked the question is because, like everybody, I lived in a home my entire life. In fact, my parents built several custom homes when I was a kid, and I still didn't really do the math of what was going on. And so I was on my first job site. I was on a site framing crew, and we framed up, and we got done. We were getting ready to get out of there, and I'm walking through the place, and I'm like, holy shit, there's nothing separating me from this structure than a piece of drywall and, carpet pad and carpet at any given time. And I just never put two and two together. So it was kind of once I got in, it was I suddenly got really aware of my surroundings and how many parts and pieces went into everything.
What I've found is that as a building product, windows and doors are the only product that you see from the outside and from the inside.
Yeah.
Right? So, some people think, hey, like I did, a window's a window's a window.
Mm-hmm.
And then some people realize, hey, there's more to it.
Yeah.
Right? So, we want to supply the best window and door that we possibly can.
Sure. Cool. Okay. Justin, you want to do a quick intro?
Yes, sir.
Your backstory?
Yeah, so pretty much total opposite of Kevin. So my dad and grandpa started Leatherman Supply in 1964. And so ever since I was, 4 or 5, my dad was taking me on road trips, go on service calls. He'd take me on sales calls with him. And so I was exposed at a very young age to the window and door industry, the building industry. And it's been pretty awesome, really. I mean, just to see it from that side, and then as I've grown up in Leatherman Supply, working in the warehouse, taking deliveries, doing service work, seeing all aspects of what makes the company go. And then getting to experience it from the sales side, talking to customers. And so it's been a pretty awesome ride, but it's been basically all I've ever done.
Yeah. And so history of the company wise, I mean, you're right in the heart of, what we call like Hudler territory, where you got the mobile home guys up there building a ton of units every day, and like some kind of modular guys. You got RV guys everywhere. As a company, have you guys always kind of supplied that industry, or have you been mainly site built?
Primarily site built,
yeah.
But historically, and I'll say for the last 30 years, we've had about 20%, 25% of our business in manufactured housing.
Okay.
So that's always been an important component of our business.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a lot of similarities to site build, but there's also a lot of differences. And being able to keep the line moving,
mm-hmm.
It's a lot more important in a manufacturing setting than it is in a site build setting.
So your manufactured housing customers are putting pressure on you on timelines a lot more. Is that what
we put it on ourselves.
Okay.
We understand the importance of having the product there when you need it.
Yeah.
For site builders, it's still important. Don't get me wrong, but you don't have so many. It's not moving at such a fast pace.
Yeah.
That day.
Yeah.
So that's something we're always aware of, and trying to keep our stock levels, where they need to be, and working with our vendors to make sure that they're producing in the timelines they need to as well.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. What about I've always wondered, are there service issues or installation issues that your manufactured housing customers are always hitting you with, whereas you just don't see that thing on site built, or vice versa? Or I've always felt like windows and doors are kind of a item where it doesn't matter where you install it. It all kind of comes out the same in the end. I mean, there are products that we fight with on a manufacturing line, or that a site builder fights with, but I haven't felt like that. So I'm interested to hear your perspective.
I would say it's actually a lower incidence of service problems on manufactured.
Okay.
In a manufacturing setting than it is on a site build setting. And you have a lot more control over that installation
sure.
piece. You've got the same person or people doing it day in and day out. So they're getting that experience. And for them in the line, there's a lot more, I'll say, accuracy in the openings.
Sure.
Whereas you get to on site build, sometimes the framer doesn't frame the correct opening.
Yeah.
The correct header wasn't ordered.
Yeah.
Et cetera, et cetera.
I'm putting framer in quotation marks because they let me do it when I was on a crew. If that tells you anything, whoever had to put a cross tape on that was probably really confused when they got done with my window.
Right. And then you got somebody installing it. While they may have plenty of experience, it's not somebody that's doing it every single day.
Yeah.
So, it's not that there's a ton of service issues on that side. They're a little more frequent.
Huh. Interesting.
So it's on the manufacturing side, you guys do a great job of, controlling that process and making sure everything's done. And I think you got a lot more code requirements because you're not just having to fit a certain
local
not
area.
just Elkhart County code,
right,
or Indiana code, but
right.
You got to cover all the different states and the different locales. So
yeah. So you guys really haven't been hit with the newest energy codes because you're in Elkhart County. I mean, do you even know what Elkhart County's on as far as energy conservation code, or is it 2009?
2003.
2003 energy conservation code.
So the state of Indiana, as far as energy. I don't know that it's any different than I don't know. Yeah,
there's a subsection that gets adopted.
Okay.
I think right now Iowa's on 2015 and Michigan might be on 2012, headed to 2015. But I think Indiana is behind everybody else.
Yeah.
Because we haven't really had to start blower door testing houses down here or anything, whereas in some other states it's a requirement already.
Sure. What we're seeing is from the manufacturer, because they're national, they're having to adopt to, whatever the majority of the country is doing. So here, I don't know, 10 years ago, Anderson came out with a new level of glass back, it was actually 2009 when there was the federal tax credit, but you had to meet certain criteria,
right?
U factor and solar heat gain coefficient. So they came out with the Smart Sun glass at that time, which met that criteria. And then since then, heat lock, passive sun. So there's they're continuing to evolve their glass based on what's needed to meet the codes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you set up like a really good pivot into talking about solar heat gain coefficients and U values and stuff, which I want to do really bad right now. But first, I want to go backwards and talk a little bit about why you guys as a company chose to sell Silverline products and Anderson products specifically. I mean, because how long have you been selling Anderson?
Since before my time.
Since before your time.
So
okay.
It's at least since the 70s, possibly even earlier than that.
Okay. So I mean, why? Out of all the window manufacturers, vinyl and wood, you guys could do business with. Why those two?
So Silverline and Anderson both have been around. Anderson's been around since over 100 years, 115 years.
Mm-hmm.
Silverline's been around for 60 some years. And that's one thing we really look at is what is the stability of that company. And over time, what have they done over time? Now, since we've been with both those companies for a period of time, we know how they work, they know how we work, and I think we work together very well.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of picking a company to kind of hitch our wagon to, long-term stability and quality of the product, continuing to want to innovate the product,
mm-hmm.
those are all things we look at as important elements of, what manufacturers we want to work with.
Okay.
I mean, the biggest thing is that, at least in my world, if you ask anybody, you want to be number one, everybody say yes, right? I want to be the best.
Sure.
So why not provide the best product?
Yeah.
So Anderson, number one rated brand for builder's choice, it's a great product. The durability, the sustainability, like you, Justin, said, the innovation, what a great product to offer.
And Silverline was bought by Anderson. How long ago was that? Do you remember?
2006, I believe. So Silverline was started, back in the 50s, I believe, and was family owned and operated until Anderson bought them.
Okay.
And Anderson was looking for a way to diversify, and so they purchased them, about 10, 15 years ago. And for whatever reason, I don't know all the reasons that went into them, but they decided to sell to Plygem.
Yeah.
That
was a bummer. It was a bummer to me. I loved having that Anderson name on every single window we put in the house. I'm still
helps.
Crying a little bit about that.
It helps, but one thing to keep in mind, we were repping, and I don't know if you were using Silverline before Anderson went on the label. And
I don't think we were.
Okay.
That was just like a year before my time here that we switched to Silverline, or maybe like as I was coming in, but I don't think we were using the Silverline pre-Anderson window.
To piggyback all that, and I think what Justin was getting to is that before Anderson bought Silverline, Silverline was the leading manufacturer of vinyl windows. Anderson buys Silverline. They continue to grow that product. Anderson sells Silverline. Silverline's still the leading manufacturer of vinyl windows. Okay. So, that brings me back to that question, like, you want to be the best? Let's provide the best.
Yeah. Yeah. And Justin took us out to see the Silverline factory in Ohio. And that was a cool day for me. I mean, to see, I had no idea they extrude their own vinyl. I mean, they just like front to finish finished the whole window in one shop. It was a pretty neat day.
And they've got 4 manufacturing facilities like that throughout.
Do they?
They're really east of the Mississippi primarily. So they do some business west of the Mississippi, but they start to lose their manufacturing footprint.
Okay.
Because vinyl is a lot of times a regional product, lower cost product to produce, lower cost product on the sales side as well. So there's not as much to be able to ship that product very far distance.
Yeah.
But they do a ton of business east of the Mississippi.
Yeah. Yeah, they're a big player.
Yeah.
So what do you guys say to a customer that walks in the door and is like on the line of whether or not they're going to go vinyl or wood? I mean, what are the pros of sticking with vinyl?
Low maintenance, durability, reliability. I mean, Silverline's an energy efficient in any climate.
So like wood, when you say vinyl is low maintenance, you're talking about cleaning it, but you're never gonna have to mess with, the wood windows. Do you have to repaint, restain at some point?
Well, one thing, and I think we're going to touch on it a little later, is condensation. And any window can condensate. When a wood window condensates, that has to be managed. When a vinyl window condensates, it still needs to be managed, but it's not as important as if it's sitting on a wood surface.
Okay.
So that's one thing that is a benefit with vinyl is that's never going to rot.
Okay.
It's just not going to. So whereas on a wood window, that's something that theoretically unchecked condensation could over time deteriorate that window.
Yeah.
So that is a selling point of vinyl. And on the other side, there's more options available on the Anderson, more colors, grill options, that sort of thing. And then there's price points associated basically with every level up and options you're gaining.
Sure.
It just, the wood windows have a little bit different look on the interior. Exterior, a lot of people probably, quite honestly, aren't looking that close, except when it comes to color. And
then there's a coating on the wood window exterior, isn't there?
Yeah, so they've got a Flexicron finish on the exterior. Anderson does.
Okay.
They've got several different technologies they use, but on the 400 series double hung sashes, that's what they use, the Flexicron.
So that's why it kind of ends up looking fairly similar at times too. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Interesting. So let's jump into condensation while we're here. So
sure.
Go for it. Give me your spiel. Why do windows condensate? Why don't you stop that?
I would if I could. Best way to stop it would be to live in a more moderate climate. So basically what's happening is you've got, in the wintertime in the Midwest, we get cold days.
Yeah, so we're climate zones, IECC, International Energy Conservation Code climate zones 4, 5, and 6 that we sell into. That's basically northern Kentucky through northern Michigan. Okay.
And I would say your guys in Kentucky aren't going to be having the same condensation issues as your guys in Indiana and Michigan.
Right. Okay.
And so basically what's happening is you've got, in the wintertime, you get a cold snap, you get a sub-zero day. You've got inside the home, you've got a nice, comfortable environment. You've got 70 degrees probably. You've probably got 50% humidity. That's where a lot of people are comfortable. When you've got that 50% humidity level inside the home, that warm, humid air is going to form water vapor on the coldest surface in the house when it's cold outside. So that coldest surface, even with the technology improvements we've got in windows, is still going to be your windows.
Yeah. So the water vapor, the moisture that's in the house, that 50% is going to touch that window surface and it's going to cool until it comes into a moisture state and form just like water, ice water sitting out in a warm room. Opposite effect.
Yep. And what a lot of people talk about is, I'm not running a humidifier. Some people know it or not. They have one on their furnace. So that's putting moisture in the air. But the biggest thing is just living in the home.
Yeah.
You've got
showers.
You're running showers if you're cooking. But the places we almost always see it is in master baths and master bedrooms.
How long do you run your shower fan after you get out?
How long do I do it?
Yeah, you personally. Let's see how much each of you do it.
For me personally, so I leave it on until I'm done getting ready. and then I turn it off.
Okay.
So that gives it, maybe another 15, 20 minutes after your shower's done to get some of that.
Kevin, tell me the truth. It takes him an hour to get ready, doesn't it?
There's no question. If you would see this guy, unfortunately, it's not a video cast. I mean, the beauty or how would I say that? Resonating from Justin.
Yeah. So, Kevin, how long do you leave yours on?
Till the mirror's clear.
Okay.
Right? So,
how long did you leave it on prior to working in the industry?
Oh man, until I was done, I guess.
Okay. So you have a goal now, though.
So Anderson recommends, right? Before I did this podcast, I had to do a little bit of research.
Okay. All right.
So
came prepared.
Anderson recommends that once the mirror is clear of fog or whatever, then you can shut it down.
Huh. Okay.
And that's okay. So that's probably the second coldest surface in that room, right? So that's going to be kind of a barometer. It's not just the window.
Oh, the mirror is.
Too,
yeah,
right?
I gotcha.
It's the same effect. You take a shower. I think about a hotel. A lot of times those are smaller bathrooms. Not as good exhaust. You got the door closed. It's almost always that mirror fogs over.
Sure.
It's the same effect that's happening when condensation is forming on the windows.
Yeah.
And another thing we battle is a lot of people have blinds on those windows, master bedroom, master bathroom. And so condensation is forming on that glass, and then it's not having a chance for new air to circulate across and dissipate that condensation. So we try and recommend, in the morning, open the blinds up and let some air come across it. So that's a big thing that can help. But the exhaust fan, I mean, really, that's the biggest thing you can do.
Yeah.
The stigma of condensation, what I've learned in the last year and 5 months, everybody says, oh, my windows are condensating, they're broken.
Yep. Broken windows.
Something's wrong.
They're leaking. Right?
Everybody says they're
leaking water.
Yeah. So and Justin said, hey, you're going to have tough conversations with people and tell them, actually, your windows are working exactly how we want them to work.
Yeah.
Because that warmth, that humidity, that moisture in the air is staying in the home.
Yeah.
Right? So with their windows are much more weather tight. Vapor barriers are better now. It's modern construction. Insulation, much better. It all plays a role in condensation. So I'm just going to tell everybody out there, if your windows are condensating, they're actually working.
Sure.
And your builder did a good job by building a tight home.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you said it, and I was astounded by this, that it takes roughly 5 years. Did I hear you wrong on that?
It varies. I usually say 1 to 2 years.
Okay, I was way off.
It takes, because when a home is built, you're putting additional moisture into that home. You've got new studs, you've got paint, you've got drywall mud, you've got a lot of materials you're using that have moisture in them that are going to kind of leave over a period of time.
Yeah.
So, one conversation we have is, I lived in my house for 30 years and the windows never condensated. And the windows, I'm sure, were not as good as the windows are today.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that home was not near as tight as your home is today.
Yeah.
So,
and that's we've had this conversation on the show before, but that's the whole national conversation going right now. Everyone's pushing to go tighter and tighter and tighter, and that's all well and good as long as you proactively then control the air that's changing in the house to keep fresh air coming in, to get moisture out properly. Otherwise, you're going to have these problems.
Yeah. Anderson has like a 4-point checklist, like make sure all exhaust fans are ventilating properly, attic crawl space, those types of things as well. Run exhaust fans in the kitchen while they're cooking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't do that all the time.
I never do that. I hate the sound of those fans.
Do you cook?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm gonna have you over now.
And then just run the exhaust fan until the mirror's clear in the bathroom.
You guys thought I just drank beer, but I cook too.
Now here's another little thing that is at least worth mentioning. So on a hot summer day, I think this is an analogy most people can kind of agree with. You go outside, you've got a cold glass of iced tea, water, lemonade, whatever the case is, and there's water vapor condensations forming on the outside of that glass.
Right.
Is that glass leaking?
No.
No. It's not. So it's basically the opposite phenomenon that's happening. You still got that cold surface, and you got warm, moist air. In this case, it's in the outside environment, touching that cold surface, and that's where that condensation is forming.
Yeah.
So, and I've seen this. I've actually seen it on my own windows at home. We have vents blowing right at our living room windows. On a warm, humid summer day, if you're running your AC and you're blowing cold air onto that glass, you'll have condensation on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same exact thing that's happening in the winter. It's just opposite conditions.
Right.
So,
yeah, it's helps on the way though is the good news. Like, again, Indiana hasn't caught up to this, but the newest energy conservation codes are forcing the builders who are down in that super tight house zone to remove air out of the house, either via like a whole house vent fan that's got, it's supposed to be running all the time. Now, we put ours on a switch so that a retail customer could turn it off if they wanted to, but there's supposed to be a super quiet fan in an open area that's running all the time to get that moisture out. And then you're theoretically creating a negative pressure in the house. When you go to open your front door or your window, you're going to suck a bunch of fresh air in. So it's fresh air control, but it's moisture control as well. Or if you're not going to use that whole house vent fan, you've got to be changing air via, like a regulated air exchanger that is probably going to be taking moisture out with it as well. So helps on the way. Hopefully you guys will stop getting so many phone calls.
Yeah, it never fails. This time of year, never have them.
Yeah.
Never. You get to the first cold snap of the year, it's like, okay,
here they come. So what does a leaking window look like? I mean, you're going to see drywall wet. Your floor is going to be getting wet. It's not going to look like a condensating window.
Right. No. It can. Okay, so condensation, the way that forms is it starts at the bottom edge of the glass and it forms across. And then as that, if the situation's bad enough, it'll kind of creep up the glass.
Yeah.
And it'll form on a double hung window or a single hung window. It'll form on both the lower sash and the upper sash at that lowest part.
Okay.
Well, a lot of people, they see that, they're thinking it's leaking at the check rail.
Yeah.
And it's leaking at the bottom of the window.
Check rail, like where the two panes, where the top of the bottom pane meets the bottom of the top pane.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the way condensation forms, and then it'll just kind of creep up from there. So a leaking window, you're going to see generally in an isolated area, water coming in, dripping down.
Okay.
So if it's coming in at a corner, and a lot of times it's hard to tell where the leak is coming from, but those incidences are far, far less than what we're seeing with condensation calls. That's always the question we're asking is where's the water? Where are you seeing the water?
Okay.
And as I'm new to this, that condensation, Jay, if it's cold enough outside, can that condensation turn to ice?
Absolutely.
But now, if that condensation turns to ice, do they have a leaking window?
Nope. Same phenomenon. It's just what happens to water when it reaches a certain temperature.
Yeah.
32 degrees.
Freezes. Yep.
So when that glass gets cold enough and you have condensation on it, it will freeze.
Not supposed to get that cold in northern Indiana, though, right? I mean, geez, we only had 2 negative 45-degree days this year.
Global warming.
Okay, interesting. Thanks for covering that. I really wanted to do that today. So let's skip over to, I put a placeholder in solar heat gain coefficient. Before I get there, did you want to talk anything else about like Anderson, why Silverline stuff, or did we cover enough?
I think
we got her?
I'm good with it if you are.
Okay, I'm good.
Jay?
Yeah.
Okay. Segueing then back to solar heat gain coefficient and U value. Give me entry level breakdown into just what those are. I mean, why do I care? What do they mean?
So, a lot of people are familiar with R value.
Yep.
Insulation value, which is a measure of heat
resistance.
Okay.
Yep.
So U factor is the coefficient of an R value. So it's a measure of heat loss. So with an R number, the higher the number, the better.
Mm-hmm.
With a U factor, the lower the number, the better. So
can a window have an R value?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All windows have an R value?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So you basically take the U factor and is it divided by 1? Is that right? Or is it 1 divided by 3?
I have heard this before.
It's been a while since I've done
that sounds good to me.
division, but
I'm
it's
going to
either
do
1
that
divided by
division in my head or on my phone. Actually, if I can find my phone. Nope. Okay.
But if you've got, so most of the windows, are like high performance glass or low E with Argon. So a lot of those are going to rate around a 0.3, 0.2987 in that range. Those are going to equate to a 3.5 to 4 R value.
Okay.
So,
So a low E, there's a low E2, low E3.
yeah.
What's the difference there?
How many coatings of low E it has?
Okay. So a low E, non-argon filled glass window is still going to be around a 0.3, or is it going to be higher than that on U value?
A low E non-argon filled
Yeah.
is going to be about a 0.35.
Okay. So then a low E2 or low E3 non-argon filled, is that really going to drastically bring it down, or you got to get the argon in there?
No. So if you go from just a double pane, that's going to be about a U factor of about I don't know if it's a 0.5 or, it's not good.
Okay.
Then when you add that low E, then you see about a maybe 15 point reduction.
You said add the low E, but you mean add the argon in
That
there?
would be just adding low E.
Oh, okay.
And then the argon will give you about another 5 points.
Oh, okay.
And then when you get into the low E2, low E3, those are going to be less of a benefit, but they're going toward the same goal, but you're just not going to see the big impact like you are with the first coat of low E and argon.
It's kind of like insulation. People are like, why don't you put R100 in the ceiling? It's like, well, the change from R30 to R50 is fairly significant. The change from R50 to R100 is a diminishing point of returns.
Yeah.
You're just throwing money away at some point. So same kind of thing.
Right.
Like low E5 isn't going to help you that much more than a low E3.
Right.
Okay.
Now there is, I know there's different companies experimenting with different kinds of glass technology.
Mm-hmm.
And Anderson, with certain products and with certain glass specifications, they can get down into the low, mid, like 0.15 in that range.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard of some companies.
Anderson has a 0.15 product now?
Yes.
Is that
it would be
double pane?
It would be A series. We might need triple pane to get that.
Triple
I'd have
pane.
to look at exactly what the specs are. But,
Okay.
You go back to, I don't want to say cost prohibitive, but what's the value of that investment
Sure.
to go from, the standard glass or maybe even, low E2 to
Sure.
go to, whether it's triple pane or Smart Sun heat lock with, they've got all these different technologies and they're not all the same price.
Right.
So
You're paying more for that energy
Right.
savings.
in
You
the
hope.
payback period to go from say U factor 0.27 to go to like a 0.15, by the time you put the extra money into that window,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to be in the home long enough to really justify doing it.
Okay. Interesting.
This guy is wicked smart, isn't he?
Right? That's just U values. Wait until you get talking about solar heat gain coefficients.
Don't get me started on solar heat
Yeah, I can't wait.
No, start.
So solar heat gain coefficient is a measure of how much of the solar heat comes through a piece of glass.
Okay.
So same thing as with a U factor, the lower the number, the better. So
The lower the number, meaning you don't want the sun to heat your house too much.
and there's two different schools of thought with this. So and that's where this passive sun has come out.
Yeah.
Where that one actually has a higher solar heat gain. Actually, Energy Star for the northern region now is they've got two different criteria you can use. One of them is you get low enough with your U factor, the solar heat gain doesn't matter. The other is if you have a U factor of like a 0.3 or 0.29, something like that, they actually want you to have a high solar heat gain coefficient. And the reason behind that is they're wanting, in the northern region, they say the heating season is longer than the cooling season.
Right.
Let's get the passive effect from the sun.
Sure.
So
yeah, that makes sense. I've got Energy Star certified home. I'm on version 3.9 in front of me here. And U value in zones 1 and 2, which would be, Texas and southern areas, is a 0.6. As you go north, it goes 0.35 in zone 3, 0.32 in zone 4, which you start to breach into zone 4 in our area, and then zones 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, 0.30 to get Energy Star rating. So as you go north, you get into colder climates, they want you to keep your heat inside, is what they're doing there.
Exactly.
As you're in the south, they're okay with you letting a little more heat leak out of that house. Is that what's going on there?
And I think the solar heat gain requirements in the south are higher than they are in the north. So in the south,
they're
wanting a lower solar heat gain.
Yeah, 0.27.
Yeah.
Is that tough to get to?
No.
Okay.
We can do that with the Smart Sun glass. That's really what it takes to get to that.
Yeah, okay. So similarly, solar heat gain coefficient, or not similarly, but oppositely, goes 0.27 in zones 1 and 2, 0.3 in zone 3, 0.4 in zone 4, and it says any solar heat gain coefficient in 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So they're saying bring it on, let the sun heat it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they've changed that a little bit since the last time I looked at it. There was, at first they came out with they only wanted a high solar heat gain with a 0.3 range U factor. Then they came out with you can have it either or, and that's where they came up with this 0.3. If you get below 0.3, then you can have any solar heat gain.
Yeah. So all the glass we're using in our homes is Energy Star rated.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for all the areas that we build in. What I was interested to see as I looked at this information for Energy Star and even for net zero energy ready homes, which you guys are familiar with that term, I'm sure, but just in case.
I hate to interrupt you here,
no,
but
go ahead.
I just want to compliment you on building an Energy Star home, because not all of our customers are concerned about that. And it's important.
Yeah, it's a big topic, and it's a big topic in what we talk about on the show here. And then it's a big topic nationally of like, where's the line between affordability and the right kind of home to build? And I mean, Tyler, who's on this a lot with me, would argue like they're forcing too much regulation of the right kind of home to build, and they're taking away our ability to build an affordable home. And so I see where people can ignore it at times because they're like, listen, my customer just can't afford it. And I get that. But, there is a line where, we can build a pretty affordable window. We use Silverline windows as our standard, single hung, 3 foot by 5 foot, with grids, and it's Energy Star rated in our area, and it's affordable. And I think people are going to see a return on that investment, right. So it does make sense to us. So I was looking up net zero energy ready stuff, which is net zero energy ready is the ability to have a home that's efficient enough that if you added, a means of getting energy into the home like solar or wind or something like that, you could have a net zero energy bill at the end of the year. In the summer, you're going to be getting money from that solar, let's say, or at the end of the year in the winter, you're going to be paying money, but of course the year, your bill should be zero. So you have to get a HERS rating of 0, a home energy rating score of 0, in order to do that. And I was really interested to see that the requirements for windows, solar heat gain coefficient in our area, again, they said any. I thought there'd be a regulation there, but now that you explain more what it means to me of like, hey, bring on the heat, that makes a lot of sense. And then U value is only a 0.27. That didn't seem low enough to me to be a net zero energy ready home. I can't believe how close we are to that already on our standard Silverline window. So to get to, like, we're at a 0.3, I think, on most of our windows. Is that right?
I'd have to look to be sure.
Yeah,
but
I don't remember off the top of my
head.
Are we?
Yeah. So
I think it's like 0.28 maybe.
Okay.
0.29.
That rings a bell.
Right around the 0.27.
Yeah. So to get to that next level, I mean, we do the low E2 Argon filled, add low E3, or are you starting to talk triple pane?
No, we can get there without triple pane. 0.27, absolutely. We can get there.
So triple pane, I mean, the way you said that makes me think like going to triple pane windows is expensive. Is that right?
No question.
Is it?
And not only that, but you have to go to the most expensive series to even have it as an option.
Oh, really?
So, you've got Silverline, they've got a few different series. It's not even available in Silverline triple pane.
Right.
Anderson's got about 6 different lines. It's only available in their very top 2 lines. And so you're not only paying the additional premium for the glass, you're paying the premium to go to the top of the line series.
Okay. Interesting. Argon filling. Gas filling lasts for how long?
Good question.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, but like the general consensus is 10, 15. At some point down the road, that filling's gone. Is that general consensus, or are we building windows so well now that it's going to stick around?
They're building them better, no question about it. And I think Anderson had a period in the late 80s, early 90s where they were filling the panes with argon gas. And I don't know exactly why, but the gas escaped.
Okay.
Now, Anderson's got a 20-year warranty on their glass, and it's transferable warranty. It's a great warranty. So any of those situations, they were taking care of them. But I think that also gave them a glimpse of what maybe to do differently.
Okay.
So outside of that isolated period of about 5 years in the late 80s, early 90s, that's not been a situation. So,
okay.
We don't have, so what is it from early 90s till now? We're 25 years. Is that right?
Yeah.
So, I would expect it to last at least that long.
Okay. So when someone says the seal broke on my window, I've always thought that meant the argon gas fillings leaked out.
And that's part of it, but the spacer seal that separates the 2 panes has somehow been compromised. So water vapor is then able to get in between that seal. Yeah. And that's where you'll see like water streaks inside of a window.
Foggy.
Yeah.
Right.
Does it have like that? Windows get like a rainbow shine
like
to
a
them?
Film to it.
Yeah. Is that?
I would say that's probably what you're looking at.
Yeah. Freaking water vapor, man. It's got me paranoid now that I'm like starting to learn all this, high efficiency building stuff, window stuff. I hate water now. It's not totally true, but okay. So we talked about solar heat gain coefficient. We talked about U values. We cover everything we should cover there. Or is there something I'm missing even from your window world perspective?
One thing I'll say that another kind of glass technology they've come out with that's kind of nice that kind of goes along with that lower solar heat gain coefficient is with that glass you get a lower, they call it transmission of UV rays or ultraviolet light. And what that's going to do is minimize the effect that the sun's rays are going to have on fading your upholstery, hardwood, carpet, that sort of thing.
That's
so
nice.
With the evolution of that lower solar heat gain glass, they've also got that transmission of ultraviolet light to like 95% blockage.
Wow.
So it's awesome. So I recommend it on southern exposures, things like that, where you're going to be getting a lot of light, especially if you got like high windows, where the sun can really damage the room over time. So,
interesting. Cool. Okay, let's talk a little bit about like what's next on the home front with Silverline and Anderson, and then I want to cover like why they won the IBS award that they did. So Silverline's now owned by Plygym, right? Mm-hmm. They're just kind of like in a holding pattern, right? They're just trying to make sure everyone's like, hey, everything's fine. Don't worry about it. We're not going to change much right now. Is that what's going on? I'm kind of hearing.
So the product has not changed. The label, the logo that goes on the glass, that has changed slightly. Mm-hmm. Biggest thing is the Anderson name is off of it.
Yeah.
Now, they were slow to even change that to get the Anderson name on the logo. And then they were even slower to change the logo. First, it went to originally the Silverline logo was blue and white, and then when Anderson bought them, they started putting an Anderson company below that.
Right.
Then about 3 years ago, they changed the logo, the shape of the logo a little bit, and they added the Anderson orange to that.
Yeah.
What they've gone to now is they've changed it back to the blue that it's historically been. and they've taken the Anderson name off. So that's the biggest change that we've seen. The hope and kind of what we've been hearing from our Silverline representatives is now that they're owned by Plygem, which is a huge vinyl window company.
Vinyl everything.
Yeah, they own 4 different vinyl window brands. So they're big.
Siding manufacturers, yeah.
The big hope there is that maybe we can evolve into some newer colors.
Okay.
As I know you've seen, there's been a trend toward darker colors.
Yep.
So that's one thing that would be nice. Now that we've got Silverline's got a company that's really a vinyl window company. When Anderson had them, it was just maybe not run quite the same way that some of their other divisions was.
Yeah, so you would argue maybe even this is going to be a good thing for the vinyl product because Anderson was so focused on wood and they just didn't care to evolve the vinyl where it should have been.
And the other thing they're always kind of watching is they don't want a lower price product cannibalizing a higher price product. So they're going to limit what they're giving as an option over here, where with Plygem, that's not going to be as much of a consideration. Okay.
Yeah, I'd love for them to come out with a black exterior interior product. Will you get on that for me?
I'll do what I can.
Okay, I was going to say, you're not going to make any promises here today, huh? Okay, cool. So Silverline, like series-wise, I mean, nothing's changing. They've got, 3-4 series. They do single hungs, double hungs, casements, awnings. They kind of have the full gamut of window types already, so we're not going to see any changes there.
And like just from a, the manufacturing perspective, the windows are still being made in the same plants by the same people. The people supporting that product are the same. So our experience thus far has been very little changes. Literature changes a little bit. And the logo, that's the biggest thing we've seen so far.
When Anderson sold Silverline and then the Silverline kind of, broke away, they just said, why would we change what we've been doing, what we've been leading the industry with? Why would we change it?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You don't fix a tire that's not flat.
Yeah. If you trade for Khalil Mack, you let Khalil Mack play. I get it.
Yeah. And that's kind of I think Silverline's stance is why change a good thing?
Yeah.
They just keep business as usual.
Okay, good. We love Silverline. That's mainly what we use. We use a low E2 argon filled glass, so powerful, energy efficient. Okay, enough on Silverline. Let's talk about Anderson. Run through the gamut of the series for me, just so I have like a general understanding of what it is.
So you've got Anderson 100 series. That's a Fibrex material. It's twice as strong as vinyl. Okay, you've got a wide range of colors. You can't get double hung in the 100 series.
Is that an anti-cannibalist marketing tactic in your opinion? Are they trying to make sure all the 200?
Yeah. I would say they're gonna protect
their 200, 400 business,
because then when you get into the 200, you actually have less color options than you do in the 100.
Sure.
So you're getting maybe a very similar looking product for less money. They don't want to go that direction.
Okay.
So they're going to probably. I'd be a little surprised if they turned it into a double hung, the 100 series.
That's got to be a big problem. I mean,
yes and no. There's quite honestly not as many people that open their windows as maybe what there used to be.
Yeah.
Now our area, northern Indiana, I'd say is more of a double hung market than maybe other parts of the country that might be more dominant casement. So I think we might see a little more resistance to it locally. But the 100 series is a pretty comprehensive program with patio door, casement window, fixed window shapes, awnings. So they really offer everything they need to, short of the double hung.
Okay, I didn't even realize they had casements, awnings, and all that stuff. Okay, so it's pretty well set.
The 100 series is a huge footprint out west.
Yeah, right. And that's where it started.
Yeah, it's a huge. They just opened up a new plant down in Southwest. What was it? Arizona?
Yeah, they're building it now.
Yeah, building it now.
Should be operational by next year. But Anderson's seen such growth in that product that lead times are stretching out, and they need more manufacturing capacity. So that's where they just built a new plant in Minneapolis 2 years ago, I think. That's already overrun.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it overtaking vinyl? I mean, what's I'm a Fibrex fan, why am I a Fibrex fan?
So it's environmentally smart, the 100 series, right? It's a composite material from the waste wood fiber and vinyl.
Huh.
And one big kind of selling feature with it is a lot of times with vinyl windows, where the corners come together, you have a weld line.
Yep.
The 100 series is clean at those lines. So they use a corner key in manufacturing that gives it a nice tight seal, but you don't have the buildup of the weld. Okay. So it's a little bit cleaner appearance, you might say, than a vinyl window. The other big benefit it has is color. So it's kind of competing with maybe your upper level vinyls, a little bit, and then from there, Anderson goes to the 200 series.
Hold on, I'm gonna pause you one second. If Fibrex is composite, vinyl is a powder that gets extruded. Why can't they do more colors in vinyl?
Good question.
Okay,
and Anderson's offering that on they're offering black and bronze on their 400 series vinyl clad products. So I don't know what the holdup is on the Silverline side. The hope is that
like you said, they're going to change that. So the Fibrex material, the 100 series, 10 colors, 2 colors. I mean, you keep saying it's got colors. How many do you guys know off the top of your head?
6, 7.
Wow.
White, terratone, sandtone, dark bronze, black. What am I missing?
Cocoa bean went away, I think.
Yeah.
Green. They have a green, don't they?
400 series.
400
That's
series.
400 series.
What am I missing?
I'm going to fact check you here. Got the computer
Is
out.
that it? 5? Did I say that? White, sandtone, terratone, dark bronze, and black?
Yeah, I think with cocoa bean, used to be 6.
I love a good fact check.
So, the 100 series has 5 or used to be 6 color options available. The 200 series has 2, white and sandtone. But the 200 series is the entry to the wood line lines that Anderson offers. So the 200 series came out in about year 2000 and came out to kind of be a little bit more cost-effective product than the 400 series that they've historically sold.
But not a major quality difference, though.
No, not a major quality difference. What they really did is limit the options and limit the sizes.
Yeah.
So you can't get a casement 200 series.
Right.
It's just, like Justin said, it just limits colors.
They cut down the cost to build it, and that's where you're getting your savings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense. Your fact check came back that you're a superstar and you nailed all the colors.
That's why Justin pays me.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
You're still getting paid?
Cut him off.
I was working for free.
Okay, so you were talking 200.
200 series, yep. And then, so the next step up from the 200 series is the 400 series.
Yep.
And that's a pretty comprehensive line. Double hung casement, awning, fixed, custom capabilities, patio doors.
Getting colors.
Colors, yep. And so the 400 series adds green, and canvas as well. Yeah. Are the 2 colors that get added once you get to 400 series that aren't available in 100.
There's a lot of different shades of clay, basically.
Yeah.
Sandtone, canvas, terratone. Like, why? Are people that picky? Like, are some of your customers that picky about what shade of beige or clay they're getting?
I think from the customers that I'm dealing with, they know what they want and the aesthetic look from the outside. Now, I'm no interior designer or exterior designer or whatever like that. So they have in mind what they're looking for.
Yeah, I guess I'm thinking of myself picking a paint color, and I just grab it, and
sure.
If it's close enough, go. But now that I'm thinking like the designer who did our model home, she would take 45 minutes to pick that same color. Yeah. So I guess that makes sense now that I asked
brick, that. The classic white. What's your home? What's your color of your home? Sandtone? Terratone?
Yeah, we have a dark, closer to a terratone, but then we used white windows. So white's pretty classic and able to be used in a variety of applications. That we've seen kind of a shift away from the brown tones and more into the blacks Dark bronze is still in a brown tone, but that's been a pretty popular color as of late. But white's just classic.
Yeah.
It's always going to be a good color.
So the blacks are not eating your like brown sale, or not eating your white sales, or eating your brown family sales.
Yes.
Okay. And would you say like that black window is suddenly like it's flying off the shelves, or is it kind of like, no, we've just seen it trending that way?
It's trending that way, but it's trending, I think, a lot faster than anybody thought.
Than we thought, yeah.
Yeah. Because Anderson came out with it as an option on their 400 series, at least, about 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's like, after a year, it was like 8% of their sales. And I don't think they were expecting that.
Yeah, that's a big jump.
So, and I don't know what it is today, but I'd say it's probably in the teens.
We're gonna I'll have to make a note and see if you can find that out for me, and I'll talk about it on the next show.
Sure.
Black is pretty hot though.
Yeah, I mean, it seems pretty hot with our customers. Obviously, you know, if you could get it in the vinyl, I think it'd be flying off the shelves for us. But
Sure.
you know, you got a cost jump there. But once people make that cost jump, it's like the black's real popular.
Yeah.
Even in markets I didn't think would hit very quickly. Northern Michigan for us is a market that kind of is like slower to accept some of the trendier stuff, kind of like the Midwest is compared to the East and West Coast. That's our Northern Michigan, and we've done a bunch of black windows up there.
You know, one worry that people always bring up when we talk about dark bronze or we talk about black is, will it fade? And Anderson's done a ton of testing on it, and they say it's not going to fade. So if people out there are scared about a black fading, Anderson says no, it won't.
Cool. That's good to know.
So it's not like Anderson's brand new to dark colors. I mean, Terratone is a fairly dark color in the realm of things. It's not as dark as dark bronze or black, but Anderson's had plenty of time. Terratone is goes back to probably the 70s or 60s that it's been available. So Anderson's had plenty of time to kind of perfect how a dark color, what a dark color needs to perform in the elements.
Okay, cool. Good to know. Okay, so after 400 series, we go to...
So after 400 series, we go to the architectural collection, which is made up of A series and E series.
And I would say, like, once we're there, there's no hope of talking about affordable housing anymore.
No, absolutely not.
Even the 400 series, I mean, at least with our customers, kind of starts to push the envelope of why spend that much money. You're not getting an energy return on the investment. You're starting to maintain something. But yeah, architectural series, you just really jump, right?
Yeah. And you're looking at probably a 20-25% jump over the 400 series. And what you're really getting is a lot of bells and whistles. I mean, there's a lot of options in those two series.
So it's ability to customize.
Yeah.
The frame of the window is really not changing too much?
You know, the nuts and bolts of the window are a little bit different, but, you know, like the A series double hung has the lock on it. You press a little bit further, and that's also the tilt. So it's, in the big scheme of things, it's a very nice feature, but it's not that important.
Sure. Okay.
So that's a lot of the type of stuff you're getting. You're also getting, they're using more Fibrex actually in that product. They actually, in the 400 series and the A series, they use a Fibrex sill.
Okay.
So you've got a total rot resistant product at the sill of the window.
Nice.
So the A series has like 11 colors. The E series has like 55
50
or
plus,
something like
yeah.
that. So
50
Fact
plus
check.
colors.
Fact check.
I don't know that I can
just
even
kidding.
do that one that fast.
I'm just kidding.
I'm going to be counting for 20 minutes here.
But the E series offers blinds between the glass. That's not
How important is that to your customers? I mean, I get asked for blinds between the glass and the windows once in every 500 customers that we build for, maybe.
It takes the right customer, and it definitely takes the right customer to actually purchase it.
Yeah. You're
Because
saying
there's
it's expensive.
there's a cost to it.
Yeah.
I mean, on a patio door, you're looking at minimum $400 per panel. So if you got a 2-panel door, you're $600, $700, $800.
Man.
Some people have a 3 or 4-panel door, goes up even more. And I don't want to neglect to mention the 400 series does have blinds between the glass availability on standard size. Or I shouldn't say standard size, but on one size, their most common size of patio door.
Hinged or sliding or both? Sliding patio. Yeah. Okay.
So they do have that option available now, only on white. But that's a nice option. I think that's going to be something that, especially on a patio door, something that's maybe a little harder to cover in the home with another product.
Yeah.
Blinds between the glass is a nice option.
Okay. Interesting.
So
E series isn't the end. Like they have another series above that, but it's just like.
No, that is, I mean, A and E both, they kind of complement each other.
Okay. I thought they had bought,
You're right. We don't even have access to it.
Yeah.
It's a company called M2, I think.
And you think of walking into a Restoration Hardware and the windows that like are on that shop are what I'm thinking of when I think of that product.
Yeah. And I think the job that I heard about was they did use those windows on the British Parliament building.
Right.
And they were like bomb proof or something. And
perfect.
I don't even know how you engineer that product, but it's not something that currently we even have access to. But kind of the budget range I heard was they start at homes like in the $20 million range.
Oh, is that it?
So,
okay.
There's...
Yeah.
I know we got a ton of those going up in northern Indiana. But
maybe like if the governor is listening to this right now or some state officials, president even, they could go see Leatherman for those, okay?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. What else did we want to talk about today? I just wanted to cover real quick. I was at IBS this year, saw all the cool stuff. There's a bunch of cool smart home technology. There's some, really interesting doors coming out, windows and all this. And I'm reading an article a week later, and here's the number one product at the show as rated by the IBS award committee is an Anderson molding system, for lack of a better term, on my end. You guys already know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, sure do.
Why in the world did that win number one product over all this new gadget innovation to housing, energy efficient stuff? I mean, a window combination product won.
Well, yes, Anderson wins. Rochester Home wins. Right?
Perfect.
So why not, right? So, no, the easy connecting joining system, and for your clients, they're not going to know,
the end user will never know.
It, right? They'll never see it.
Yeah.
You, as you're building the home in your controlled environment, that's where you'll see it. So it's currently offered in the A series.
Okay.
June, July, 100 series is going to start offering it.
Okay.
And then like into the third, fourth quarter, 400 series is supposed to start offering it. And basically it reduces the resources that you need to put in windows. Okay. So you can
big combination windows.
Big combination windows.
Which was a huge trend of the show. Like it just seemed like everybody's wanting stacked windows.
They want stacked,
triple
they want
mold,
full wall windows, right? So what Anderson came up with is basically like an interlock fibroblast system where you put one in the hole, you bring the other one, you put another one in, so you can piece it together. And it takes a lot less people to do it. I think they said it reduces the resources by like 50%.
Well, sure. I mean, if you're lifting up like a 20-foot long window onto the second story of a house, you got the lull there. You got a guy driving it. You got a guy riding the lull. Not if OSHA's there, obviously, but right. And then you got a guy upstairs catching. It's just too much. So
that's what Anderson did, and that's why. And we said, I think at the beginning, how innovative Anderson is. And IBS obviously took notice of it in this show.
Yeah, I mean, like. A product that, like you said, the retail customer will never even know is there won the show. And I was just like, my jaw hit the floor. But it's a builder show. I mean, it's going to help builders out.
Right. And they, it's certified for air, water. It's structural performance. It's already certified for that. So, when you talk about energy efficiency, this hits it. Right.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
It's I don't know, for windows and door geeks, I guess it's pretty cool because, it's a selling feature to when I talk to you.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. All right. Thanks for explaining that to me. I was really confused when I saw that. The other thing I did see was like, walls of windows, walls of doors, sliding doors. Does Anderson have a product in the door category that kind of fits that moving wall system? They do.
Yeah. So here about maybe 6 years ago, Anderson bought a company out west called Wyland.
Okay.
And they're basically the big trend over the last really 5 years has been bigger doors. And that goes multi-sliding doors where you have panels kind of stacking against each other.
Yeah, like the accordion style. Is that? Yeah.
Well, there's the sliding type that will kind of all slide to one side.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah.
And sometimes even into the wall.
Yeah.
And then you've got the kind of accordion hinge type. So both of those have really been a trend, and we've seen it on our end. They're a little cost prohibitive, but I mean, they're pretty stinking nice too. I mean,
they're really cool, but like in northern Indiana, like how many days of the year are you going to have that bad boy open? And I say that very hypocritically because I want one.
Yeah.
But
we see a lot on lakes.
On lakes,
right? Yeah. Big views, But they're like you said, there's definitely a price point for a lot of people.
So it's not like part of the A series, part of the E series, kind of its own baby, or
it's part of the architectural collection.
Okay.
So the A, the E, and the big doors, those are all kind of the architectural collection together is how Anderson refers to it.
Okay.
When I started, just one thing before, are we about done?
We're getting there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when Justin started to explain to me from a newbie from what the Anderson products are, when you get to the A and the E, Justin said, it's a piece of art, piece of furniture. Those are the types of windows that are provided.
Designers, people who are...
Sure.
Yeah. I like to say that we're mixing the art form of housing here with the engineering and science of production line. That's their next level, their full art form.
And you all are doing an awesome job, man.
Thanks.
You guys are doing great.
Yeah,
Talk about being innovative.
Yeah.
I mean, just awesome stuff. Always staying cutting edge.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's funny is like a lot of the trend, both at the Builder Show and a lot of like, I don't know if you guys follow Builder Trend magazines or one sitting in front of you, or Builder magazine. It's like everyone's starting to talk about modular, and we're looking around going like, we've been doing this for 45 years. Yeah. And then of course, like today, Mod Coach, who's a kind of a within industry guy who's got a blog that's followed. He featured Boxable. There's a new company out there, folding homes.
Sure.
Have you guys heard of them? Mm. The home folds up so that it can stack onto an 18-wheeler. So the freight is much cheaper than a volumetric modular shipping down the road with 2 escorts and the cops following it if it's big enough, whatever. So freight's much cheaper, but they're not going to install windows for you. No cabinets. They say finished flooring, but there's seams on the floor, so I don't understand it yet. There's a ceiling, but you still have to build a roof on it, if you want it to have a pitched roof or anything. And their whole thing's like, we're going to knock it out of the park and be the new home for everybody in the world. And I'm like, framing takes a day or two,
right?
So I don't understand it yet. I don't know that much about it. I don't want to cut their, act like I'm cutting their legs out for anything. I don't know them, but I'm looking at that article and I'm like, they've built 2, like the one they built in Vegas at the show, I think was the first time they ever built. Like there's companies out there like ourselves. I don't want to just toot our home that do 200, 300, 400, 500 quality modular homes every day of the year. Mm-hmm. And, we're not part of that conversation yet for some reason. I don't understand it, but we are seeing the trend turn, which is neat. It's cool to see. So, I'm going to skip I wanted you guys to talk about Therma-Tru for a minute, Therma-Tru doors, but I'm going to skip it because we're kind of pushing, time limits today. We'll have to have you back down to talk about more about why you guys sell Therma-Tru doors, but I do want to give you a second to let's hear a Leatherman plug.
Okay. So Leatherman Supply, we are a team of, we just got a well-rounded team of just quality people. And that's in all aspects of our organization, sales, purchasing, scheduling, cabinet designers, installers, warehouse personnel, delivery. We're just committed to the same goal, and that's to delight our customers. And that means something different to Rochester Homes than it does to the next customer. So it's we want to build a relationship with you, a real, honest-to-goodness relationship, and understand you and your needs, and just take care of you. And
it makes sense to me, and you guys get to do that because you sell a lot of the cool stuff in the house. You sell the windows, the doors, like those are fun. They're fun to help design the home, and then you sell cabinets and you sell countertops. Like that's all the fun stuff right there. You do. Am I missing anything?
That's us.
Yeah.
And we've looked at different products, and we kind of go back to what are we good at, right?
Mm-hmm.
let's stick with what we're good at. And it's worked for a long time, and I think it's going to continue to work for a long time. That's not to say we might not add something over the next few years, but at this point, there's enough of a need for a company like ours that kind of has a niche versus some of the other companies that offer a wider array of products. It's hard to know. I mean, just for us, in keeping up with all the different things we talked about today and the changes that one manufacturer can make in 1 year, keeping up with all those changes and what the options are and what's available, you start adding multiple manufacturers of the same product.
Oh, man. Yeah.
And then you start adding other products, and we would cease to be good at what we're good at right now.
Sure. Yeah. I would have a hard time believing that you could have as in-depth of a conversation about, products as you did today about windows if you offered, twice or three times what you offer now. I mean, it's just hard to be an expert at everything. So I surely appreciate what you guys do. Thanks for your time today. You guys can find the On the House podcast on Spreaker, on iTunes. I'm sure there's some kind of Android app out there as well that I'm missing, and on the RochesterHomesInc.com website. Email us, comment on our Spreaker apps, email us at info@RochesterHomesInc.com. Like the show, follow it, and we'd love to hear your feedback. And thanks again, Kevin and Justin.
Thank you, Alex. Thanks.